Alright, so this is the test doctor. For inequalities. Okay? So whether you got it right or wrong, you're going to need to fix it. Or write it and mark it. Okay? Now, a lot of the mistakes I saw here were basic mistakes that have to do with the rules of inequalities. So first of all, when you're writing and graphing an inequality, use x as the unknown variable. So you have an x and then you have a -5. Okay? And now, x is all of these numbers that are greater than -5. If it is a closed circle, that means it can be equal to -5 or greater than -5. So that's what your answer should look like. Let me just switch colors. -5. Perfect. That's a little bit more clear. 2. You're writing an inequality that represents the word sentence below. A number x is added to 2 and is greater than 7. Okay? Number 3. Write and graph an inequality that represents the word sentence below. Use x for the unknown. In order to try out for one of the parts in a play at a local theater, you must be at most 12 years old. So at most 12 years old. That means that you can be less than 12. So x is less than 12 or equal to 12. But the oldest you can be, so at most you can be 12. So you could be 12. Or you can be anything less than 12. And then you have to graph the inequality. So here you have 0 and 12. It is a closed circle. And it's all the numbers that are less than 12. Okay? Now, number 4. It wants you to tell whether the given value, x equals -3, is the solution to the inequality below. And then you have to explain your answer. So you're trying to decide if -3 is a solution. So plug it in for x. 9 times -3 is less than 4. 9 times -3 is -27. Is -27 less than 4? Ooh. Sorry, my belly's hurting. -27 is less than 4, so that would be yes, it is true. Number 5, you're doing solving and then write your answer correctly. So when you're solving this, sorry, let me get that out of the way. You have your railroad tracks, circle the variable. The opposite of a positive 17 is a -17. Okay, and then these 17s will cancel. And x is greater than 23 minus 17. 6. X is greater than 6. Number 6. Railroad track, circle the variable, you're going to add 5, 6. Those cancel. X is less than 1/3 plus 5, 6, which is 7/6. So x is less than 7/6. Number 7. Circle the variable. Opposite is to add 4.5. Those give you a 0. X is greater than -2.5 plus 4.5, which is 2. Okay, now flip it over. 8. Railroad tracks, circle the variable. These are being multiplied. The opposite of multiply is to divide by -2. Divide by -2. Now remember, if you are multiplying or dividing by a negative, you have to flip the sign for an inequality. So here, although it would be x is greater than -5, because it's an inequality, you have to flip the sign. So it's going to be x is less than -5. And that's your answer. On this one, you are multiplying by -2. When you multiply or divide, you flip the sign. So it's going to be x is greater than 3/8 times -2. -3/4. And I flipped the sign, so x is greater than -3/4. Okay, number 10. You're going to divide by 1.6, divide by 1.6. Because you're not dividing by a positive or negative, you're not having to flip the sign yet. So you have -32 divided by 1.6 is -20. So you could have left it like that, actually, or you could have just written it the other way. But either one, those two answers are correct. Okay, number 11. An SUV averages 16.5 miles per hour. Okay, so that doesn't mean it averages 16.5 miles total. It's 16.5 miles per hour. The maximum average number of miles that can be driven on a full tank is 363. That's the maximum. So this has to be less than or equal to 363. And that is the inequality it's looking for. And then this one just wants to know, so how far can you drive? So then you would take 363 and divide it by 16.5. You could drive up to 22 miles. Or gallons. Okay, number 12. You're using the picture below to answer questions A and B. A says to write an inequality in simplest form, that's a key word there, that represents the perimeter. Okay, so first of all, your perimeter is 5 plus 3, which is 8, plus 3, which is 9, 10, 11, plus 3, which is 12, 13, 14, minus 2, which is 12. So far we have 12, and then you have an x, and it's at least 18 feet. So that means it can be greater than, or it can be equal to 18 feet. And then it wants you to solve for x for b. So you would just minus the 12, and x is going to be greater than or equal to 6. But both of those answers are required for it to have been correct. Okay, 13 is actually one of my favorite questions. It's such a fun question to get to do. Okay, so East Side Bowling charges, so this is East Side Bowling, and it charges $2.25 for shoes, and an additional $2.50 per game. And then you have West Side Bowling that charges $1.75 for shoes and an additional $3 per game. You have $15 to spend. So I want you to write an inequality. Now, a big problem I saw with this is kids did not write their inequality. They said how many games you can play, but you forgot that you still have to write an inequality. So here, if you have $15, that means this has got to be less than or equal to $15. Because that's all you have. And so then the next step would be to solve it. And when you solve it, for the first one, you'd have 15 minus 2.25 divided by 2.5. Oh, dang it. 15 minus 2.25 divided by 2.5. And that gives you 5.1. So you could play 5 games. The second one, you have 15 minus 1.75 divided by 3. 15 minus 1.75 divided by 3, which is 4.41, so you could play 4 games. That is all the information I required for it to be correct. I had to see the inequality, and then I had to see the number of games. If you had put the exact answer, like 5.1 and 4 point whatever, I did give it to you. But technically that is what it is. And then I want to know which one's the better buy. E would be the better buy. So you should probably go to Eastside Bowling, because that would be cheaper. Okay? Now that you've watched the whole video, you can turn this in and get some of your test points back. Okay? So let's get going on that.